And
I think Queen probably had that effect on on millions of people, like myself included, because I was absolutely obsessed with Freddie Mercury and Queen when I was younger, as were millions of people, because, I mean, what an amazing band. I mean, the whole band was amazing. I know Freddie is like a 1 in a billion. You don't get a Freddie Mercury very often. But the band was amazing as well. Awesome songs, awesome instrumentation and loads of different styles. And they were just so unique, and Queen and Freddie in particular are a kind of perfect example of having to, not having to be in a box. You can just be true to yourself. And that can be what it can be. You can be the biggest band in the world, and I bet everybody told them, this isn't going to work. You got this flamboyant camp front man, we swear he's gay, but no one knows. This is not going to work. It's not very rock and roll. It's all a bit daft. And they went on to be one of the most iconic bands in the history of the world. So yeah, I mean, they're a perfect example to anybody that thinks that you have to change or fit in. I mean, just look at Freddie Mercury, man.
Absolutely, and just like you, he was, he was self-taught, many things. He was self-taught, and it was something that I find, absolutely incredible. When people just decide this is what I want to do. I don't have anyone to teach me, or I want to learn things at my own pace. Totally. I don't want to have to answer to nobody, because that's my case.
I think if you're like that, I think it's just something that's in you.
Yeah,
I'm like it now, and I'm older now, so I can realize that it's just the way I am. But when I was younger, I didn't really realize that I was wired that way. But now I kind of look back on things I did when I was a kid, and I look at pictures, and I think of the sort of things I was interested in. And I think I was always very sort of like a rebel. I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't really care what the rules were. I didn't care about school. I'm self-taught in everything, not because, of any negative reason, but just because I don't think of asking anybody. I want to do my own thing and do it my way. And I measure myself by my own values. I'm not bothered about what the society thinks is right or wrong, And I've always been that way. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think in that way, me and you are quite similar. I've I don't know if you're the same, but I kind of, if there's something that I really want to do and I want to learn, I become somewhat obsessive with it. Yeah. I'm obsessed. Like at the moment is playing the keyboard. I've always wanted to learn how to play an instrument. So because at the time when I was a kid, so I lived with my mum and my sister at the time. My dad was not in the picture, and we didn't have the money, to have anything like that. My mum did try, bless her, to get us accordion lessons. It sounds a little bit odd, but in Portugal, folklore music is very popular, and it's the traditional stuff.
Yeah.
So all the traditional music would be with accordions. So the accordion was something.
It's really hard to play.
It is. It's very hard to play, and I didn't last very long till the point where my mother's like, well, I can't afford it anymore, sorry. It's like, well, that's fine. But also, my family weren't very, musical, right. My sister and me, we are 4 years apart. She's older than me, but she's always been more into her raves and stuff, techno and house music and whatever, which I wasn't.
Yeah, brother is like that. I've got a younger brother he's an amazing musician. He plays drums and bass, but he's a hardcore raver as well. He's out on all the kind of illegal raves and stuff, and yeah, we're so different. But I think me and you sound as if we're from a similar background in a different way, but I mean, my parents were together. They didn't have a lot. We didn't have it as hard as you sound like you had it, but I mean, it's all relative, I suppose. We never went without anything, but they didn't have a lot of extra stuff.
That's it.
I was lucky that my dad stole my first guitar so that I could have a guitar. But yeah, I mean, my childhood was pretty pleasant, I suppose. I mean, we just had the struggles that every kind of like working class young family has, money troubles with the landlord and bailiffs and things like that, But it was a nice upbringing. And there was lots of music. I mean, nobody in my family is musical. They don't play an instrument, but they love music. So music was always played around the house, and it was cool stuff. Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Queen, so I had a good education in that regard,
That's it. Like, I didn't really, but it's just like, I think my mum had like a Michael Bolton cassette in the car,
Right.
and she played that over and over again, and I hated it. Like, I really hated it, because to me, well, kudos to him. He is a great singer. Not everyone can sing like him. But to me, it just didn't speak to me like Queen did, at the time. And then that was the pathway, like, to me to sort of like find heavier bands.
Yeah.
As well, and the first time that I heard like bands like Slayer, I was just like, I was mind blown.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, how can you play that fast?
Yeah. When you first get into thrash metal, that's like life changing, isn't it? It's like,
it really is.
This is my team. This is where I belong,
Oh, absolutely. And I guess growing up, especially, when you go into school, like for us, it's like, primary school and then middle school and then high school. So when you go to middle school, it's like when you start fitting into a group, you've got the popular kids, and then you've got the nerds, and then you've got the kids that are more into their, skater punk, and then you've got the metal, the dirty moshers.
You've got to decide who you are in school, You're either going to be one of the sport guys, or you're going to be the metal guy, or you're going to be the raver. You've got to kind of pick one, And I was very much into the kind of, all black nail varnish, playing in a band,
You see, I read about that in your book as well, and I thought it was quite interesting. Was it just Nirvana and Green Day that you played? What is it called? Section 8?
Section 8, yeah.
Why?
I think it was from a film. I think the singer was into a film, and it was from something. I can't remember which film it was. I didn't pay any attention. But it was pretty much Nirvana and Green Day, and we were like the only band in our school, so we were like rock stars in our school. So there's videos on YouTube, actually, of us playing all of our gigs, and there's like everyone showed up. There's like mosh pits, and it was really cool. And it was my first kind of taste of the glory of playing in a band,
Was that the moment that you just like, wow, I want to be in the band so bad, I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was just like, but we started gigging in like the last 2 years of school. So then once school finished, we all went different ways. We went to different colleges and different towns. So it kind of was the end of the band. So, through college then, I was in college bands, but I never really got into a band outside of college. I moved away again then to a different town to work in the recording studio. So I didn't have any connections with the people in college either. So I've always kind of ended up going down my own sort of like lone route, which is why I set my own band up then, Kaishira. I thought, well, I'll just set my own band up rather than a collaborative thing, which normally would have happened by that age. I just thought, well, it hasn't happened for me, so I'll set one up,
What does Kaishira mean?
Nothing. Doesn't mean anything. So in the book, I explain how I came to the name, because do you know the violinist Nigel Kennedy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, he was calling himself around that time. He was calling himself Kennedy, like Kennedy plays Mozart or whatever.
Oh.
And when I did my first album, I didn't have a band still, so I called it Kennedy. It was called Kennedy Made in China. And I got an email from his management company saying, if you don't stop using the name Kennedy, we're going to sue you, basically. So I went, okay. And I just made up the name Kaishira because I thought, well, if I just make something up, then no one's going to sue me for it. And, all kind of heavy bands have stupid names anyway, like...
Yeah.
Like,
it just kind of, it depends, I think it depends, like, I don't really go for like, oh, I don't want to listen to that band because they sound weird.
Yeah.
It's the talent. I was actually, it's quite interesting because I was having, I had a chat with a chap from, Massive Wagons, Baz Mills.
Yeah.
He's great guy, honestly, so funny. We had an absolute laugh, and he was just telling me about Massive Wagons and how they come up with the name. And I said to him, like, are you a little bit worried because of the connotation? You know what I mean? Like, it's a slang for, what? And he's just like, well, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. If they could be called a great thing, it's like, oh, yeah, great name for a band, and sound like shit, ain't it? So...
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't matter too much, really. I mean, like once you know the name of a band and you get used to it, you don't really think about what it is. Like, I don't know what a Sepultura is. I don't know what a Pantera is.
I can tell you what those are, actually. Sepultura was actually one of the like new metal bands that I actually really, really got into, and they are from Brazil. Yeah, they're Brazilian, so therefore it was like one of the bands actually got played quite heavily, in Portugal.
Oh no, I love the band Sepultura. I love as a band, but what does the name mean as an English?
Yeah, it's grave.
It means grave, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had no idea, but I loved the band, and I had no idea what the name meant. I just thought it sounded cool. And I just like the band, So I feel like a band name doesn't matter too much if it doesn't make any sense. It's like once you get used to it, you get used to it, And like, Sepultura until now, today, all these years later, I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah, and Pantera is panther.
Right. Yeah, I figured that might have been the case. They were two bad examples that I just used.
You just do you know what? I just learned something new every day. I just learned that Kaishira means nothing. Nothing
at all. I should invent a reason. For a long time, I did in interviews, and people would say, "What does it mean?" I would invent a different thing every time. But now I just now it's in the book. I just I've got to be honest now.
Talking about bands, actually, if you had no cost spared, if you're creating your own festival, who would be your 3 bands that would headline?
Living? Can they be dead as well?
Dead or alive?
Well, Queen would definitely.
Of course, there'd be some Queen there.
Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And Jeff Buckley.
But okay. Great guitarist there.
All dead.
Why not be like a festival of the dead?
Yeah, we can have the other ones. That's like a fantasy festival, but that would be amazing, man. I never got to see Frank Zappa, and he's like my idol. And Pink Floyd would be another one I'd love to see, the original Pink Floyd,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that'd be really great, actually. But then, you sound like a total guitarist there, people who are quite technical as well, what I mean? Quite technical in the way they play their instruments.
Yeah. I'm not a technical player anymore. I used to be really into prog rock and practicing all the time, and that was my thing until I kind of discovered grunge and Radiohead and Rage Against the Machine and bands like that, and I was like, man, those guys are doing things with the guitar that are like a different level. It's not shredding, but it's like sounds and weird chords, and I was like, I got much more into that then, because you're never going to be as good as Eddie Van Halen or Steve Vai, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just do the other thing instead.
Yeah, just do the other thing instead. I was thinking about, can't remember his name now, but the dude from Dragon Force.
Oh god, yeah, those guys, insane.
Absolutely insane.
Same, yeah.
I mean, he's...
To watch that stuff as a guitar player, I can kind of appreciate it as wow, that's awesome. But in terms of playing that stuff, nah.
Leave it to them.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to be able to do that, so I'll do something else. I can kind of shred a bit, but no. It's kind of my own thing. It's a kind of, I've got a kind of a more of a visceral kind of style. It's not very precise. So I can play kind of fast, but it's not precise. It's kind of I just dig in and go for it. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, absolutely. That I think it's just being creative, isn't it? It's all about creativity.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah. Which was the last concert you went to?
Man, I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't been to one this year, obviously. I don't know. It may have been. It might have been My Chemical Romance in Cardiff. That was
how long ago, man? How long ago was that?
It couldn't have been that. That would have been years ago. The thing is, I did my last tour in 2018. I didn't do anything in 2019 because I was writing the book. and making the album and stuff. I don't think I went to any gigs then. So yeah, I don't know, man. We're going back a few years. I don't watch many concerts. I don't
really.
So, it's like festivals. I like a festival if I'm playing at a festival and I can kind of like hang out backstage in